Hello everyone, this video is gonna be about how I'm prepping for tier 3. If you wanna just do the lazy way and the simple way, just fully stack your bank inventory with tier 2 purple gear, epic gear tier 2, and you should be mostly fine. Like, it's not being maxing, but it's definitely like a good enough failsafe for like tier 3 and blessing and things like that. So that's one of the ways that you can do if you're lazy. But if you want to try to min max or take the best that you can do, I highly suggest doing the following. The first thing you should do is probably remove everything that you have from the sink. The reason why you want to do that is because anything that you have that is already level 12 cannot be transferred into. So you can only transfer gear pieces to another gear piece if the gear piece that you're transferring is underneath level 12, which is not the case here, of course. So this way you can see what gear pieces are not level 12 yet, and then you can check one by one if they have the icon for the transfer lit up or not. So for example, this one, as you can see here, has the transfer available. So that means I can transfer something to this weapon. This one also have the transfer available. Now this helmet doesn't have the transfer available. This has the transfer available. This has a transfer available. And you want to maybe write that down somewhere and try to plan how you want to do your transfers with that. The reason why I say that is, for example, I have this Rexmare things, right? I cannot transfer to it because I already transferred another one of my tier 1 epic gears that I had like 9,000 blessing to it. So I transferred to it, and now I cannot transfer anymore to it, but I can transfer this into another weapon. So for example, since I know this can be transferring to and this can be transferring to, I can do the process of transferring this to this, right? And then transferring this to this. So it's really important that you check what gear you can transfer into and what you cannot transfer into, so you can try to plan how you're gonna do the transfer of the blessings from your current gear set to your new gear set on tier 3, right? So that's the first thing I would take care is just paying attention to this. The next thing I would do, I actually had 600 slots filled with tier 2 epic gear, and I needed to get like around 100 to 150 to 200 free slots in my bank. So there's two ways to stack blessing, right? The first way is just the transfer thing. So that's what I did. I picked a bunch of gear pieces that I had on my bank, and I started fully trading them. So I kept trading them and transferring, trading them and transferring, trading them and transferring, and I got a bunch of bless stacking. Midway, I also noticed I had some cloaks that I could use the blessing transfer thing that I had already leveled. That's why it's important to check the transfer of the transfer icon if it's lit up or not. So I had one cloak that I had already transferred to it on the start of tier 2, and the other cloaks I had not transferred to them. So I used the first cloak because I cannot transfer to that cloak to transfer to the other cloaks, as you can see here. And by the end, I got a cloak with 8.5 thousand blessing. So it's really important that you try to line up what you have, what you can transfer, what you cannot transfer, try to plan around that. I know it's a bit confusing, even more if you're a new player, but the simplest way to say is just try to stack blessings and try to check what you can transfer, what you cannot transfer, and then you can see like, if I cannot transfer this, then I should put this on the first transfer to the other item that I can transfer, so I can keep transferring to the other items. I hate how I say that, but that's the way it works. But yeah, as you can see, I did the whole process of transferring my excess gear, right? I got around 150 slots on the bank. And then I decided to put in practice the second method of blessing, which is fail stacking. Fail stacking means getting worse pieces of gear, like worse graded. For example, we have tier 2 epic piece of gear here, right? If I try to use epic tier 1 or a rare tier 1 or a rare tier 2, which is worse tiers, right? Worse gear. On the same trade to try to level it up, it has a percentage of chance of succeeding, and if it fails, which it will most of the time, it adds a bit of blessing on that item. So that's what is fail stacking the blessing. You just keep trying to level up a bunch of traits that you have from Epic Tier 2 with lower grade materials, lower grade items to intentionally fail and get more blessing stacking on that item. So just keep repeating that process and then transfer, and then you mix both of those methods, and that's how you get like an item with high blessing. So the way I did was, like I said, I cleared 150 slots of my bank, and I set a few different configurations. The first thing, I went to my configuration here on the item tab. You can see I went to the transmutation tab there, and I set to automatically transmutate anything that is rare or below. That means anything that is rare or below is gonna be transmutated. So that means I'm only gonna be keeping rare tier 2, epic tier 1, and epic tier 2. This is good, so you can filter a little bit and not have to like fail stack too much random things, too much trash, honestly. And then after every time you go farming on Abyssal, after a few dungeons, you can just open your bank, your VIP bank summon if you need in the middle of the farming, and just deposit everything there, and then later on you can fail stack. If you don't have the VIP, you can just transmutate the rare tier 2. It's not that big of a loss. Of course, it's not that min-max if you're doing that, but it's one way of doing it. Now let's talk about how much you need to blast stack. Now that's a really complicated question because we had the info from like the Korea, right? For tier 2, but now we are on par with Korea, so it's really hard to know the numbers. For tier 2, it was 8.5 thousand blessings, something around that, per item. But right now we don't have tier 3, so it's impossible to say how much it's gonna cost. But if you take the legendary as comparison, we cannot transfer to the legendary, but we can see like how much it took to level legendary. Without blessing, just using the route trace percentage, we get 10% chance on a tier 2, epic tier 2 on the legendary items. So for leveling a single bar of a trait of legendary item, it takes sometimes 10 epic tier 2 traits of the same trait. So for example, if I want to level 1 heavy attack trait on the legendary, I need 10 heavy attack traits on the epic tier 2. So it's quite a bit. You need 120, a little bit less because you get some blessings so you can use it, but around 100 to 120 probably tier 2 epic items to fully trade your legendary weapon. The legendary should be more relevant than tier 3 from what we received information, right? So I imagine, I speculate, the tier 3 is gonna require less than the legendary, or at least the same, So you can expect something around that. I imagine it's gonna be something from like 60 to 100 around epic tier 2 for the legendary. For the tier 3. So you can fail stack and stack blessing a lot. I'm planning personally to just keep stacking till I get something around 20 to 30 to 40k blessing. I know it's a lot, but I have the feeling it's gonna cost a lot actually. And regardless, I plan to stack a lot because we right now are getting tier 3 gear, but the tier 3 gear that we are getting is from dungeons. So I have the same vibe that's similar to tier 2. When we got tier 2, when Korea and us got tier 2, in the global version it wasn't like that, but in Korea it was like that. They got the tier 2 from just dungeons in Stoneguard in the old region. And those tier 2 was more of like a 1.5 type of gear instead of being a tier 2. And when they got Talandri, new bosses, new field bosses and everything, then it became tier 2. And those tier 2 gears were definitely stronger than the gears they got before the release of the new region. So I think this is gonna be the same. We're gonna get tier 3, which is gonna come from new dungeons. Those tier 3 are actually gonna be 2.5 in my opinion. I think that's gonna be something like that. And when we get the new region on the tier 3, which we should be getting, I think, soonish, at the end of this year or maybe next year, then we're gonna see the real tier 3 gear. And then by that point, I believe we're gonna be transferring everything that we're gonna be using right now, like the tier 3 that we're gonna be getting right now, which I'm gonna call 2.5. We're gonna be transferring to new types of tier 3 when we get the newer region. That's why I think you can just stack non-stop, because even if we overdo on the blessing, it's gonna be useful for the transfers later on the new region tier 3s. But that's about it. Thank you for watching. See ya.